Welcome to the Horror Unmasked podcast,
where we unmask the monsters
and explore the lore.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Lily.
A quick notice before the episode starts. Hey everybody, so there is going to be a little bit of a change to our format for the rest of the year. We are a little bogged down with college and everything, and so we have decided that we are going to cut down our episodes to one movie. We may talk about the other movies from the films. In those episodes, some movie series and franchises will have their entire franchise or the most important films from said franchise, so don't worry about that. We're still going to cover enough information to satisfy, but just wanted to let you guys know about this little change just for now, just to make life a little easier. Enjoy the show. And today is just going to be another one of our fun little chit-chats. But this time, it's going to be about Reddit scary stories. Yes. So it'll be nice and fun. We found a handful of like spooky shit on Reddit through like a couple different scary story themed ones. So
I'm gonna be honest. I looked at like ratings and how many people liked them, and I only read like the beginning of some of them so that I can also
this bitch somehow found all of the long ones.
Yeah, so I'll have
she
the long
looked through them
ones.
very differently than me.
You'll have
I'm
the
over
short
here
ones.
fucking short as shit, and this bitch is over here with like a fucking epic story.
So, because let me explain my reason. I went through multiple subreddits because I wasn't sure like how long we wanted to go or how creepy we wanted to be, and
Creepy.
then I found a category in Reddit called the no sleep.
God fuck, I should have looked there. I didn't. I just looked at scary stories and fucking true scary stories.
Yes, I did look at those at first.
I should have done
but
no
I
sleep.
wasn't really sure.
Because I'm looking for like.
Okay.
We will probably redo this again at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's fun. But next time I will be looking because I want us to be like uncomfies.
Yeah.
I want us to like. There's a bang and there's like, what the fuck was that?
I was just thinking about it. Like, I just went to the bathroom before we started this, and it was so dark, and I like did the little like fast scoot into the room.
Oh, wait till you hear about this.
Oh no. You want to start us off?
Well, it's.
Oh my god, wait, I'm sorry.
What?
I almost said a little inside joke between me and Angeline, which you have no idea what it means, and I was literally about to say, you suck the toes. Yeah.
Well, that means something very different for us.
Oh yeah, it does.
It does. So if you said it would
kind of still works.
Yeah, you suck the toes.
It still works.
I'll suck the toes first, I guess.
No, yeah. It's because
I mean, it still works even for us.
Yeah, it's because we were doing karaoke. We were doing karaoke, and we have this thing where we try to look up songs that neither one of us have ever heard before, and we like come up with our own tunes based on the words.
Gotcha.
And I had said like start us off, but she heard suck my toes, and I was like, no, that's not at all what I said. I just meant you go ahead and set the tone. You set the tone for go
where
ahead.
She heard.
Yeah, start it off, set the tone for what we're gonna do.
And she heard suck the toes.
Yeah, she heard suck the toes. So now it's suck the toes.
I mean, suck the toes still
to start
works.
us off. So go ahead, suck the toes. Yeah.
All I can see her is just sitting in the bed sucking on his toes, and it just makes me uncomfortable.
From Talk to Me.
Talk to Me. Yeah.
Didn't pick that up.
Yeah.
So I really just let that slip.
Yeah.
Just go ahead, suck the toes.
Hey, at least it still works. It still fucking works.
Oh, gosh. Set the tone, girl.
So you want me to start? You start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Doesn't matter. We're going to be going back and forth.
I don't want to suck the toes.
Neither do I.
Well, go ahead.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Be a new experience, maybe.
Okay. So I'm just going to start from the top of my list.
Okay.
Of my goodies here. And this one is called Home Alone. Or so I thought.
Oh, nope.
I'm a male 16-year-old. This was like any ordinary day My mom and dad were not home, and my little sister wasn't there either, which was sort of weird, but I thought to myself, wow, I can actually have some alone time. The morning started off good. I ate breakfast and watched something on YouTube as usual. Classic. Sounds about my morning routines.
Although if I were alone, I'd probably just do it in my underwear.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
There's hardly ever a time when I'm by myself in a place.
Ugh.
I just want to run around my own area.
Don't worry, it'll happen for both of us. That's a promise.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, I get that feeling of someone watching me.
It's just the ghosties.
Instantly got chills and felt very cold. I just ignored it because I always feel that. So maybe you're a little sensitive? Possibly. So I get up to throw away some trash when I start to hear loud footsteps from the attic.
No. I would move. No further investigation. Pack my bags. Call my family.
You know?
We're leaving.
Nobody ever goes up there. So I was like, what the hell? And then my mom and dad's bedroom door slammed open and it scared the living daylights out of me. So instead of being a sissy, I look down our long, dark hallway. And I wish I never did.
No.
All I remember seeing is some dark figure with white eyes, and I heard really loud whispering. Then I said, "Who are you?" in a scary voice. And then whatever the thing was came straight towards me at full speed.
Ew. You know I hate that. It's like they're standing still and they just book it at you.
Ooh, I hate it. I hate
book
it.
it.
All I remember is grabbing my phone and running out of the house.
Because that's so important. Ditch the damn phone,
Yeah.
bro. Go to the neighbor's house. Use theirs.
I dived off my front porch and stayed outside until everyone came home. I don't know what it was or how it got there, but I told everyone, and they all laughed and said, "That's why we left."
What the fuck? I just got chills. Stop. Why wouldn't they take him with them? That's so messed
They
up.
all left him there because of it.
Wow.
They just left.
Wow. Not them laughing when they come back.
They're like, haha, that's why we were gone. You didn't know?
You just aren't gonna, just didn't think to let the other people in the house know?
You didn't think to tell your other child to just like
Maybe careful?
also be gone?
Yeah.
Also, how long have you known that this thing is in your house?
Right. And what are you gonna do about it?
Why are only 3 of the 4 of you who know about it?
Ew. Chills.
That's so fucked up.
Oh, God.
That's why we left. So messed up.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. I have no idea how this story's gonna go, so let's see.
Yeah. The difference between the two of us is I actually kind of read into mine a bit more, where she was just like, first couple sentences, an intro, title. That's about as far as I'm gonna go. We'll figure out what it's like.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Okay. It's been 23 years since I quit teaching, and this student still scares me. Okay. Tommy was a weird kid. Quiet, soft-spoken, almost timid. I was initially worried something was happening at home that was keeping him so walled off from the other kids. Until I met his folks at a parent-teacher night at the school. His parents were a very nice young couple and just as eager to ask me about Tommy as I was to ask them. They were just as puzzled about Tommy's soft nature and initially thought he was on the spectrum, although they had yet to have him tested. At recess, Tommy wouldn't interact with the other kids, instead opting out to play alone on the swings or drawing pictures in the dirt with a stick.
I've seen these kids and met these kids, so yes.
Until one afternoon, a group of boys in the grade above him got together and decided to make fun of poor, quiet Tommy.
Of course.
I saw the whole thing happening from across the playground and began walking over to intervene. One of the kids was a notorious bully, A real gorilla for his age.
Damn. Damn. That teacher was like, that motherfucker's a gorilla. Damn.
Standing a whole couple heads above the other kids.
Oh, shit.
He towered over Tommy with a basketball in hand. I saw him wind up, ready to slam dunk onto Tommy's head. But when he let go of the ball, it just hovered there in midair. The ball started to spin, picking up momentum and speed, and went sailing back into the bully's face, breaking his nose and sending him ass over tea kettle to the ground.
Yes. Yes.
I was halfway over to them when I saw this. I don't know what to make of it. I didn't know what to make of it. I knew it had something to do with Tommy, who, the whole time, mind you, hadn't even looked up from his stick drawing in the dirt.
Damn.
After that, absolutely nobody interacted with little Tommy. Kids, bullies. I even saw ants and other bugs skitter off the other way when he was near.
You know, not surprised.
The school I worked in was grades K through 12, so even after Tommy left the first grade, I would still see him around the school. The other staff would congregate in the teacher's lounge at lunches to talk about him and all the weirdness that surrounded him. It's like he could read my mind. I swear he somehow made all textbooks float up off the desk and hit the floor this morning. Those were just a few of the rumors going around amongst us teachers.
That is dead-ass facts.
Right.
Teachers love to gossip about us.
They do. They do.
They will matchmake. They will do all sorts of shit. They will talk shit about all of us.
Mm-hmm. It's true. That's so true. And I know this because my parents are teachers. They tell me all the things that other teachers have
I've
said.
had teachers that were like, oh yeah, we talk shit.
No, yeah, I hear all the tea. I always tried to shy away from gossip. What if Tommy could read minds? What would he do to us if he could see how hated he really was? Things continued on like this for years. I would smile at Tommy whenever I would see him in the hallways, and things remained uneventful. Until Tommy hit the 9th grade.
Oh, fuck.
Tommy had to pair up with a partner for a science lab project. A simple dissection of a frog. From what the teacher of the class told me, he, nor anybody else, had ever seen Tommy so into anything before. He was actively sharing his excitement over the frog's intestines and bones with his less than enthusiastic lab partner. Unfortunately, this is where everything gets dark.
Damn. It's always dissection. It's always dissection.
Mm-hmm. After the class, nobody could find Tommy, his lab partner, and about a dozen scalpels. It wasn't uncommon for students to ditch class, but this was Tommy we're talking about, and his missing partner and 12 fucking blades.
Yeah, that is 12 weapons that are now missing.
Yep. A few teachers, including myself, went to search for him at recess that day, but it was an unfortunate janitor that found him and the other student.
Oh, fuck.
He called all of us to the teacher's lounge, pale-faced and shaking. He said he had called the police, and we need to get the students somewhere safe and lock down the school. We all asked what was going on, and he told us. He had found Tommy in the upstairs bathroom, dissecting his lab partner. Only he wasn't doing it himself, the janitor explained. The scalpels were whizzing around Tommy's screaming lab partner, making incisions and pulling out organs as Tommy sketched everything down into a book. When Tommy saw the janitor, he apparently turned around, nonplussed about the whole thing, and said, "Oh, hey, Mr. S. I was curious about how Mark worked. Is everybody like this on the inside?"
What the actual fuck?
The janitor apparently mustered up a smile and made an excuse about getting back to work before making like a bat out of hell and racing back to us.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. We quickly put the school into lockdown the way you would if you had an active shooter in the building. I watched the live feed of the school's security cameras from a laptop in the teacher's lounge to see Tommy roaming the empty halls.
Yeah, it's a psychic psycho.
Locks broke off of lockers as he passed them, while the doors fluttered open and closed frantically like the panicked wings of butterflies. I could see he was visibly confused, probably wondering where everybody had gone. The police and SWAT arrived pretty quickly. I watched the cameras as they surrounded him, automatic rifles pointed at his head, probably yelling at him to get on the ground. When Tommy just nonchalantly turned around to walk the other way, though, they opened fire. The bullets had barely left their guns before stopping mid-air to reposition themselves and continue their trajectory into their owners' skulls.
Yeah.
5 SWAT team officers hit the floor, dead. All of the staff was huddled like a coven of witches around the laptop now. A coven of middle-aged teacher salary witches, scared shitless as we saw on screen that Tommy now stood outside the teacher's lounge.
Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh. The stomach drop.
Yeah. We all knew what was coming as the door blasted off its hinges. The faculty panicked and threw any close object they could grab towards Tommy. I remember shouts of, "Get away from me, you little monster," and "I'm not fucking dying like this. I was supposed to retire to Florida this year." Imagine. Eyes popped out of skulls. Limbs were ripped from sockets. Sick, wet, tearing noises, and teachers sailed around the room in the air so fast with such force that when they hit the ground, they exploded like a balloon full of jelly. And the whole time, I just crouched in the corner, shaking and terrified. Eventually, I was all that was left alive in the room with Tommy. He made his way over to me, as I was sure it was the end. "Mr. H?" He spoke my name the way a student would before asking to use the washroom. "Where is everybody? Did I do something wrong?"
I'm sorry.
I couldn't sugarcoat it. He had spared me to this point, and if nobody was going to tell him what he was doing wrong, well, how far would he take this? How many more lives would he snuff out? Yes, Tommy," I managed to stammer out. "You've killed these people. You understand that's wrong, don't you?" "I didn't mean to. I was just standing up for myself." I glanced over to the laptop to see more SWAT heading to the teacher's lounge. "Tommy, please," I said as softly and kindly as I could under such duress. "You have to make up for what you've done, okay? Some men are on their way here now to take you somewhere safe. Every crime has a punishment, and what you've done here is a crime." I don't remember my exact words, but they were something like that, and Tommy nodded and raised his hands to the air just as SWAT got to the door. They arrested Tommy, and he remained as calm and emotionless as ever as they led him to an armored truck in the parking lot. The events of that day were largely covered up, and Tommy was placed in a high-security prison. I would visit him from time to time over the years.
You still visited him?
He told me I was the only one besides some government officials or FBI types that ever did. I don't know why he let himself just sit in that prison year after year. I was thankful about it, though. I thought whatever words I managed to squeak out to him before his arrest must have really stuck. He hadn't changed a whole lot mentally either, it seemed. He was still very much the quiet kid drawing pictures in the dirt I remembered from long ago. But the reason I'm writing this, the reason I've broken as many years of silence as I have NDAs on the matter, is because last night I got a call from the prison. 2 guards that patrol Tommy's cell were found dead, and he was nowhere to be found.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if he just finally got bored or what. It doesn't help matters that he's grown into the most average, unassuming-looking man ever. Caucasian, average height, build, hazel eyes. He could be anywhere right now, and it has been a while since I last visited him. God help me if he decides I hadn't made the right call after all, and he wants payback for all the years he spent just whittling time away behind bars. Tommy, if you're reading this right now, I'm sorry, but I can't ever see you again. I can't see any more people suffer through so much. I know you're probably just confused and maybe even scared right now, but I hope you know to do the right thing. After I post this, I'll be heading to my garage to run a hose from the exhaust of my car through the driver's side window.
What the fuck?
And maybe listen to my favorite REM album one last time. To everybody else, please stay in your homes, lock your doors, and keep your loved ones close. Good luck.
Damn. It's like This is like a plot line for a fucking movie.
No, yeah. No, yeah.
That's intense. That's some intense shit there.
That's wild. That's wild. 23 years ago, man. Woo, since you quit teaching.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Man. I'm about to read this one. It's going to be like chump change. What just happened?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yours are significantly more scary than mine.
Oh,
by like a long shot.
I don't know. That last one gave me chills. No, thank you.
You just had a man who fucking just murdered people.
Yeah. And the teacher was so scared that they literally
chose to kill themselves instead of fucking living.
Yeah.
On the chance that he could come find him.
Yeah. It's like, I
had a spooky shadow. What are you talking about?
My next one's about a shadow.
All
right, go ahead.
Well, fuck. Okay. Well, all right. This one is extensively short. This is the shortest one I have.
Okay.
This one is, I think I encountered a skinwalker.
Ew. No.
One night I was home alone because my parents were going to a concert and I didn't want to go. So I stayed home and played Xbox until I heard scratching and yelping from outside.
It's a dog.
I put down my headset and slowly walked over to the front door and tripped on my cat's cat toy. The bell jingled from the cat toy.
I thought they were about to say on their cat, and I was about to be...
The scratches stopped, and my cat stared at the door while hissing. Screaming began as whatever was outside pounded against the door. I grabbed a weapon and looked at the Ring camera to see a dead deer tucked behind the car with a blood trail out into the woods. When my parents came home, I told them, and they didn't believe me and just said it was a predator or a coyote. But what type of coyote screams like that? Was a shorty bagorty.
What a creeper. I don't even know what I would ever do if I came across me a skinwalker.
Thing is they didn't really see anything. They heard stuff, they checked the Ring camera, and all they saw was a dead deer.
And then like a crazy
behind
scream.
The car. And they heard a crazy scream.
I would call the cops. And I would say, get your ass over here in 5 seconds or I'm probably going to be dead. Thank you. Thank you. This is why I hate being alone anywhere. Like, I like being alone, but like, and like
not
doing my
after
own
you've
thing.
been scared.
Not just that. I mean, I like knowing that there's more than one person in the house, even if I'm just like by myself doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't even go for supernatural things. That's just for like burglars.
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 Yeah. And murderers.
Yeah. Lock your windows and doors.
Yep. Friendly reminder.
Weirdly enough, that kind of ties into one of my other stories anyway.
Nice. All right. This next one.
Yes.
Always check for your shadow. Mom taught us one rule. Always check for your shadow. Every few hours, the three of us, Mom, Curly, and me, would do a shadow check. It was as second nature as taking a sip of water. Shadow check, my mom would call, and we both looked down, checking that our shadow was still there. I thought everyone did this. We were homeschooled, so no one really told me otherwise. And my one friend down the block, Samantha, was a little strange herself, so she never seemed to notice. But then my mom got a job, and Curly and I went to school. And that's when everything collapsed. What are you doing? Paige asked me as we stood outside for recess one cool fall afternoon. Shadow check, I replied. Duh.
Because that's what everyone does.
Don't you shadow check?
Shadow check.
I got it. It's there. We're chilling.
Right there. Gotcha.
Yeah. Shadow check? She asked, confused. What's that? I squinted at her. You don't know what shadow check is?
Offended.
Yeah. It was like she told me she didn't know how to brush her teeth. I explained slowly in simple terms, like I was talking to a baby. You look at the ground to check your shadow's still there.
Because that's completely normal.
That's so normal. That's
so normal.
It is in the statement. Shadow check is what it says.
Yeah. Quite plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. She obediently looked at the ground. There it is. Then she raised her arms out in front of her and linked them, making her shadow look like the letter P. Look, it's like P for Paige. Cute. In no time at all, half of the class was doing it. We bound out for recess, and someone would shout, "Shadow check!" The kids would contort their bodies into weird shapes to make their shadows look like elephants, or cats, or letters, and we'd try to guess what they were. That went on nicely for about 3 days.
Yeah.
Then, horror struck.
Yep.
On Thursday afternoon, it was overcast.
Where shadows are not as intense.
Yep. Shadow check, Thomas shouted. I diligently looked down and saw my shadow. But when I looked up, I realized nobody else had a shadow. For a second, I wanted to panic and scream and run, but then I took a deep breath and did exactly what my mom taught me. I grabbed Paige first. "Hey!" she protested, but I didn't listen. I held on with a vice grip and started pulling her back towards the school. When the shadow goes away, hide in darkness for a day.
The fuck?
The mantra echoed in my head. The school had a basement. I'd heard the teachers mention it. The basement would be safe. All we had to do was stay there until the morning. "Let go of me," Paige screeched, finally yanking her wrist out of my grasp. "What's wrong with you?" "What's wrong with you?" I screamed back. What's wrong with you?" I screamed back. "We have to hide." The kids weren't smiling anymore. They were staring back at me, backing away like I was a rabid animal. "We have to hide," I screamed again. "All the shadows are gone." I grabbed at Paige again, but she dodged this time. I lost my footing and fell onto the asphalt. Pain stung my knees. I looked up at my classmates. "Why aren't they hiding?" "What are you doing? Run!" I screamed. That's when a teacher helped me up and took me right to the principal's office. I should have explained more clearly, my mother told that night as she tucked me in. The shadow thing is only for us. It's okay if other people don't have shadows. Why? Sadness flashed across her face for a second. Then she shook her head. That's just the way it is. No one talked to me at recess anymore. Not even Paige. I sat alone all the time. I noticed now that there were many days, and some classrooms even, when people didn't have shadows. I always did, but they didn't. Months passed, and eventually kids forgot about the incident. That's what kids do. Forget. Sometimes I wish forgiving and forgetting came easier to adults. Paige would run up to me at recess, and we'd play hopscotch. She never brought up the fact that even on an overcast day, my shadow still danced across the chalk lines, mirroring my own movements. Except sometimes they were the slightest bit out of sync. Like my shadow was moving on a split-second delay. As I got older, however, things got more complicated. In 7th grade science, again a science class.
Yeah, science always happens in there.
The teacher taught us about the sun and optics and light, prisms and rainbows and the cones and rods in our eyes. And she mentioned that our shadow was just the absence of light, that our bodies were blocking out the sun or the overhead fluorescent lights. It didn't make sense to me then that my shadow or anyone else's would be able to disappear. If the lighting didn't change and I didn't move, how could a shadow suddenly disappear? Curly was now old enough to insist we called her by her real name, but she was still too young to understand the argument I had with my mom that night. "It's not possible," I shouted as she worked on her coloring book upstairs. "You're lying to me." I'm not lying to you, my mother pleaded. Yes, you are. I ran across the living room to get in my mom's face, walked right past the ornate glass lamp that stood on the end table. My mom's eyes widened. She looked at the ground, and that's when I realized my shadow was gone. The lamp was behind me. My shadow should have been on the floor in front of me, but it wasn't. Run, she whispered. When I didn't move, she began to shout, Go, Curly, go! I hesitated for half a second, then I sprinted for the stairs. Turn off the light, she shouted after me. I darted in and closed the door. Then I bent down and yanked out the plug to the lamp. Hey, Curly said, I'm coloring. Shh, I whispered. What? My shadow disappeared. Curly was too young to remember the day that her shadow disappeared. She'd only been a year old. My mom had scooped her up out of her playpen, grabbed me by the hand, and took the three of us into the basement. We spent the night down there in total darkness, eating canned beans and sleeping on old comforters, laid out on the cement floor. But she knew that it was bad. She scrambled over to the bed and pulled the covers over her head. I stood in the center of the room, listening for Mom's footsteps. They never came. Is she staying down there? But we had so many lights down there. It would be safer to just run to us. I crept towards the door, my heart pounding, slipping over the Barbies Curly had left all over the floor. Mom? I called out through the door. Nothing. I opened the door just a crack and peered out. I could see the stairs, the light spilling out of the living room, but everything was silent. Maybe she went into the basement. Maybe... A shadow appeared, cast across the wall. No, she's still down there? But no, that couldn't be my mom's shadow. It was too short, and even though the edges were blurry, the shadow sort of looked like it had a ponytail. Not short hair and a pixie cut like my mom. That's not Mom. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
The blurry edges sharpened, and then the figure... The shadow came into view, my ponytail, my upturned nose, my knock knees. The thing crouched down and pulled at something, yanking it, moving completely independent of me. A dragging sound. My mother's feet came into view, still and lifeless. I gasped. My hand clapped around my mouth, but it was too late. The shadow froze, turned to stare directly at me. And then with huge, loping strides, it started up the stairs. I slammed the door shut, clicked the lock, then I jumped under the covers with Curly, my entire body trembling. The police never found Mom's body. She was eventually declared legally dead. Curly and I were sent away to live with our grandparents. They didn't seem to know anything about the shadow. They never asked us to do shadow checks. The only remark in 10 years was my grandma, on a particularly cloudy day, remarking how strange it was that I cast a perfect shadow on the sidewalk in front of us. I watched it as I walked, and noticed its movements weren't perfectly in sync with my own. As the years went by, and my shadow didn't disappear again, I started to get complacent. I checked for it less and less frequently. I started to lead a normal life, getting hired as a real estate agent. Curly, now going by her name, Rebecca, is 19 and in college. I even started to persuade myself that my shadow didn't kill her, that my mom ran away after our fight, and my memory of the shadow was my way of coping with it, because it was harder to accept my mom had abandoned us than it was to accept an evil shadow had killed her. That's what I told myself. Until tonight. As I sat down on my computer to finish writing a house listing, I noticed there was no shadow of my fingers on the keyboard, no shadow on the linoleum under the desk. I ran to turn off all the lights, but I don't think I was fast enough, because when I ran to close the blinds to block out the light from the street lamp below, I saw my shadow walking across the dark street, disappearing into the night. So please, I beg you, if you see any strange shadows in your home or outside, something you don't think is cast by the lights, by the objects in your home, Something that looks different. Hide. Somewhere pitch dark, where no shadows can be cast until morning.
Nice.
That was long.
That was a long story.
And then there's a comment that says, I have 2 shadows. What does it mean? And then somebody was like, you're about to get jumped.
Yeah. You're about to get jumped, bitch.
You're about to get jumped. Count the shadows, bro. Count them.
That was an interesting story.
It makes you think, like, why just the girl?
Because it was so, okay. Because it was a longer story. Mm-hmm. So it was the mom and the 2 daughters.
Yeah.
All 3 of them had strange shadows.
Yes.
So
I want to know where that comes from.
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like,
why is
because
it like
the
that?
grandparents don't know anything
They don't
about
know
it,
anything about it, yeah.
yet had a child who had something
Right.
weird going on. So either the grandparents are hiding something or the mom has hid something. Because also, where is significant other? Like,
it could have something to do with that.
Like, what happened? Like, did the mom's shadow kill?
Right.
And that's why she knows now? But also, again,
maybe the mom's shadow killed their...
the significant other. And that's why she knows, like, if your shadow vanishes, like, run.
Yeah.
And hide in darkness. But, like, also, how does she know that? Like, how long to be in the dark?
Oh, look at that, yeah. One question was, who was your father? And then another one was, like, maybe he got killed by a shadow when they were very young, and that's how they know about the shadow thing. Or their father was a demon, and that's why they're like that.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's an interesting concept. It's like, you know, is there something in the familial genetics? Is there something that happened with the parents? Like because people love to play with Ouija boards and all sorts of other random shit. Like, did something go awry?
Yeah.
You know, clearly some cursing possibly occurred on them. Because it's like, what would happen if they had, you know, a significant other?
Right.
Because also the weird thing is it's not like her shadow didn't come back to, like, attack her.
It just left.
It just left.
What was about?
So here's a question. You just... I saw that. It
happened during
you put your
the story,
foot over
too.
the edge of the bed and you were like, nope, back. Like, nope.
Yep.
It's also one of those weird things where it's like, okay, does your shadow not harm you?
Right. I think it might, just because the
'Cause you
mom
would
was
assume...
was telling everybody to hide. Like,
well, no,
not
because
just...
she was telling her children to hide. So, but she's alive. They don't have a father or a second mother or whatever.
Right.
And so maybe the mom's shadow killed her significant other.
That's what I'm thinking.
But left her.
Yeah.
Obviously there's some questions about, like, okay, how do you know to stay in the dark for an entire day? You know, how do you know to check it frequently? You know, all that. Because clearly, depending, she would have had this the whole time. But also, you would think, the part of me thinks that this maybe happened later in the mom's life. And not since childhood, is because...
Her grandparents don't know about it?
Because no, it's not even just that. It's the idea that when the grandparents were like, oh, you cut, like, a really strong shadow, they don't say, oh, that's like your mom.
Right.
When she was, you know, your mom's, that's just like your mom.
Right.
You know, you would think that you would, you know, if you have similarities, like weird similarities to your parents, your grandparents would say something about that. So I'm assuming that the shadow thing probably happened later on in her life.
Yeah.
Which makes me think maybe possible, like a seance or a like a Ouija board encounter of some kind, some dark ritual of something.
Faux show.
And he lost his life, but clearly they got 2 kids, so
Yeah.
something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the 2 kids are far enough apart,
Yeah.
like, you know. But it's an interesting story. Really interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
It is called The Unfinished Game.
Okay.
The air hung heavy with the oppressive heat of a summer afternoon. My brother's energetic daughter, Lily,
A.
spelled exactly the same,
Lally.
bounced at my feet, begging, "Uncle Larry, hide and seek, please." The old house, with its labyrinthine hallways and dusty corners, seemed to relish the game. Shadows stretched long in the fading light as we played round after round. Lily squealed with delight, her hiding spots growing ever more inventive. Then my turn to seek arrived. 30 agonizing seconds ticked by as I recited the rhyme, my voice echoing eerily in the darkening house. As soon as I declared, "Ready or not, here I come," a cold dread gripped me. Each search came up empty, the silence growing more suffocating with each room I checked. Fear began to curl in my stomach. The backyard was my final hope. The porch light cast a weak, flickering glow on the rickety storage shed. Dread gnawed at me as I remembered the unsettling stories whispered about the shed. Stories of forgotten belongings and strange occurrences. Still, it was the last place to search. The rusty hinges groaned as I pushed the door open. A stale, suffocating air hit me, heavy with the scent of dust and decay.
Ew.
The weak light barely reached the back, leaving the corner shrouded in an impenetrable darkness. But there, in the doorway, a single detail screamed at me from the gloom. A lone rocking chair sat empty, swaying gently back and forth, as if propelled by an unseen hand. The rhythm was slow, methodical, unnervingly lullaby-like. My heart hammered as a frantic tattoo against my ribs. "Lily? Brother?" My voice came out as a choked whisper. The rocking chair creaked to a stop. Silence.
Nope.
Thick, suffocating silence. A primal terror crawled at my throat. I didn't wait another second. I scrambled back out, slamming the creaking shed door behind me with a resounding bang. The rocking chair resumed its eerie swaying, the sound echoing through the silent yard. Bursting back inside, I found Lily, not in the shed, but huddled in the living room closet, whimpering. My brother held her close, his face pale. Relief flooded me, momentarily washing away the terror. "There you are," I exclaimed, forcing a smile.
Momentarily. just for right now. That's it.
But before I could question Lily, my brother's voice cut me off. It was a low, trembling whisper. "We weren't playing hide and seek anymore, Larry." The playful afternoon was over. An oppressive weight settled over the house, as if something unseen had brushed past, leaving behind a chilling reminder. The rocking chair continued its slow, relentless sway, a constant vigil over the dark secrets of the old shed. The game of hide and seek remained unfinished, a chilling testament to the things that lurk in the shadows, unseen but ever present.
I'm never playing hide and seek again. When I have kids and they're like, Mommy, hide and seek? No, honey. No.
You're gonna be like the dad who's like, we weren't playing hide and seek anymore, Larry.
Just like that. Or we're doing it with all the lights on. Thank you. In the middle of the day.
Unless you want your shadow to come for you.
Well, I guess I'm just going to lock myself in a room and never come out for the rest of my life.
That is like half lit, half dark, and like you're just right in the middle. You're just like right on the edge.
No, because, if I'll keep the lights on, and if I see my shadow disappear,
you turn the light off.
Right. Alexa, turn all the lights off,
Yeah. You just triggered every robot in everyone's house.
You're welcome. That's why I was just like, I
You said it low enough. You said the she who must not be named.
Yes, the Alexa. Yeah, that.
To take you a second to
yeah.
remember how to spell it, but yeah. I'm sad because I really honestly, there was one that I should have read right after yours, but I also liked the one that I just read. But there's 100% one that I should have read that was right after your shadow one that would also have been perfect.
That's okay. Just read that one after this one. Okay.
I will 100%.
This next one is shorter for me. It's called...
Because I believe that.
It is. It's only this. That's it.
Okay.
As
it's only this as she's
long.
Like a full palm.
The rest have been like 5 times this. Okay. The red string. I never believed in superstitions or urban legends until the day I found the red string tied to my doorknob. It was just an ordinary Tuesday night, as Tuesday nights are, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through Reddit, lost in a sea of memes and cat videos. But when I heard a faint scratching at my front door, my blood ran cold. I approached the door cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest, and that's when I saw it. A thin red string tied in a knot around the doorknob, swaying gently in the breeze. At first I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just a prank, I thought. The work of mischievous neighborhood kids. Mischievous, how do you say it?
Both.
Yeah. But as the days passed and the string remained, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Every night I would hear the scratching at my door, the sound growing louder and more insistent with each passing night. And every morning I would find the red string waiting for me, a silent reminder of the terror that lurked just beyond my doorstep. I tried to tell myself that it was just my imagination, that I was letting fear get the best of me. But when strange things started to happen, objects disappearing, shadows moving in the corners of my vision, I knew that I was no longer alone. I turned to Reddit for help, desperate for answers in a sea of I always have trouble with this word.
Anonymity?
Yeah, that. Because you want to say, like, anonymity. What the fuck?
Anemone. You're wanting to say anemone.
Yeah.
Versus...
Anonymity. Anyway. But instead of solace, I found only more questions. Stories of others who had encountered the red string, each one more terrifying than the last. Some claimed that it was a warning, a sign that something dark and malevolent was stalking them from the shadows. Others spoke of ancient curses and vengeful spirits, their words a chilling reminder of the unknown dangers.
The unknown dangers
that lurked just beyond the veil of reality.
For real.
Me and my wet mouth.
Your wham. Your wham.
My wham. My wet ass mouth. Whew. Ha. But no matter how many theories I read, No matter how many late-night searches I conducted, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was running out of time. The scratching at my door grew louder, more frantic with each passing night, until I felt as though the walls themselves were closing in around me. Okay, Agent Strom.
Only those who have been listening to our Saw series will understand that one.
Yep. And then, one night, as I lay awake in bed, paralyzed by fear, I heard it. The sound of my front door creaking open.
Nope. Nope. If I had a window, I'd be gone.
The hinges groaning in protest as something, or someone, stepped into my home. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, ready to call for help. But as I dialed 911, a cold voice whispered in my ear, sending shivers down my spine. You can't escape. Not anymore. The red string has bound us together, for better or for worse. And as I looked up, my blood running cold, I saw it. A figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes burning with a malevolent light as it loomed over me like a specter from the depths of hell. That was the last thing I remember before everything went black, consumed by the darkness that had been waiting for me all along. As I write this, I can feel its presence lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And though I know that my time is running out, I can only hope that my story will serve as a warning to others who dare to untangle the mysteries of the red string.
Nice. Now, for a second there, I thought this was going to be the other red string story.
Do tell.
The one about the teddy bear. So okay. So there's another story. Mm-hmm. This is along the lines of the urban legends and the creepy stories. It is the idea that I think I may have told you this one, where you purchase a teddy bear. Mm-hmm. You have a teddy bear. You take out all the stuffing. You fill it with rice. You fill your bathtub up with water. And you sew it shut with red thread.
Why would anyone ever do that?
You then proceed to play a very quick game of hide and seek.
I just told you we're not doing that.
You play hide and seek, and it is you and the bear. You play hide and seek, and then you say, it's I've found you, and you take a pair of scissors and you stab it. And then it is the bear's turn to seek.
And then it'll stab you when it finds you.
This is a very late night witching hour type game. This is a very late night midnight game. You play it way late at night. You set up the whole situation, and then you go hide. And you must stay hidden until the sun rises.
Oh, until dawn.
Mm-hmm. Stay hidden until dawn in the hopes that the bear doesn't find you. But as the bear searches your home for you, you can hear it cursing and throwing things in its search for you. Do not come out of your hiding spot, for you will not survive.
Damn.
But yeah, essentially.
That was basically a horror story within itself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Whew.
Very similar concept, but different. Mm-hmm. That was good. That's very interesting, because it makes me think of hey, why the fuck you ain't cutting that thing off your door?
Because it kept reappearing.
But there's also
they would
that
try, but it would keep coming back.
There's also that mentality of would you cut it off? Like if you suddenly saw outside your front door there was a fucking red string attached to your door, would you actually cut it off?
I would call the police. That is my answer
call
to
the
everything.
Police.
I'd
call my
authorities.
mom. Okay, thanks. Sorry. But I'd call my mom.
Well,
I'd call my mom and I'd ask her for aid.
Yes, but at the same time, I would do that. But it's also those like kidnapping type tactics.
Oh yeah,
where they would put like zip ties on your door.
No, I knew someone who
put money in the handle and
for I had a friend who she like got out of work, was getting out of work, and there was a teddy bear under her windshield wiper.
Oh yeah, no.
And she didn't touch it. She didn't take it. She didn't do anything because a lot of the times those things can be laced with stuff.
Correct.
And so she got in her car and just drove. Just drove like all the way. Didn't stop for anything.
To her house?
I don't know if it was to her house.
No, you go to the police station.
I don't know if it was the police station, but I think she drew, because not everybody thinks that off the bat when they're in panic.
Yeah.
But I think she drove to a friend's home.
Oh, no, girl.
Because usually those situations when there's something like that, they're actively in the parking lot. Like, not in a car to follow you. So they don't usually follow you home. That's usually an active. They're expecting you to touch it or something. There was also another one where it was like there was something on the car or whatever. And they got in their car and just like left it there. They didn't want to touch it. It was either like a slip of something or some notice of some kind.
Yeah.
But it didn't make sense for like where they were, so they just left it there. And they got in their car and they started to back up, but then felt their tire like hop over something.
Oh.
And usually there's the mentality to open your door to check what it was. And they didn't do that.
Good.
Because they were like, what the fuck? And when they actually officially fully pulled all the way out and backed out, there was someone hunched down like where their door would have been. So when they would open the door,
oh my God,
they would have, been able to get them.
Now that's the real scary story.
And that's real world shit. So,
no, I'm okay. Be so safe about things like that.
Yeah. If you see teddy bears, money on a handle,
zip ties, because that's how they mark
them.
Don't touch them.
Go to the police. Go like a police station.
Like drive to the police station.
Oh, also don't stay there. Like if you see the thing on your car, get in your car and drive away.
Lock your doors and go.
Yeah, lock your doors and go immediately.
Don't sit in the parking lot and like call somebody. Just go.
Yeah, just go. Like remove yourself and your vehicle from that location because like
go to the police station.
The point is the trick is supposed to be that you get in your car like normal and no one's around and then all of a sudden you feel yourself like hop over like as if you ran over something and usually sometimes people will like either open a window or open the door and so like that's like a to trick you to do that.
As well as like vans that park next to the driver's side and just weird stuff. Just be on the lookout.
Oh yeah.
Also, I know a lot of people who like check under their car religiously every time they get in. I'm like,
yeah, because there's been some scary shit with that.
Like they'll try to cut your ankles.
Yeah, that's
if you
literally
walk up
what that is
to the car.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
But yeah, that's very for some reason your story also has a very what is it? It's got that Japanese lore feel to it, like it's a because there's like the red string of fate, like red strings of very, because even the teddy bear story originates from like I think it's like originates from some Japanese lore of some kind, you know what I mean? So there's definitely that aspect of it. But yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, so I'm gonna do 2. I'm gonna do this one, which is the one that I was talking about. All right. Don't leave your room after 3 a.m. If you do, Run.
I know this one. I think.
You know this one?
I feel like I do.
Well, we'll see.
Because I've heard something similar. It could be.
Oh, there's so many things at 3
There's-
a.m. because of the witching hour.
Yeah. And also just Reddit. There are a billion
Oh, yeah.
of things
Oh, yeah.
and stories. So.
All right. Let's do this. I've grown up in the same house ever since birth. As I was little, my childhood was like every other. On my 5th birthday, that night, as I was getting tucked in for bed, my parents strictly told me to never leave my room after 3 a.m. I never really woke up in the middle of the night, so I had no problem with it and simply thought it was normal. A couple years later, when I was 13, I randomly started thinking about it and decided to ask my parents. My parents were smiling and having fun making lunch, but as I asked, "Why can't I leave my room after 3 a.m.?" their faces turned pale and straight-faced. They then got nervous and simply said, "Don't worry about it. You're too young." I didn't want to be a brat, so I turned around and went back to my room.
Kids stop being too young for things when they start asking questions about it.
Agreed.
If they're old enough to question it, they're old enough
To know.
to know.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. That night, I had woken up to a loud crash in the living room. My parents had gone to see my grandparents, and I guess they stayed the night too.
So you were alone at 3 a.m.?
Mhm.
No.
I had a dry throat, and I had thought they were only telling me to not leave after 3 a.m. was because it was late. They didn't want to wake up to me
Yeah.
being awake at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Hold that thought. You really think that after you tried to ask them about it and their reaction was they go pale?
Maybe it's the cat, I said to myself. God, was I wrong. I shook as I heard large footsteps in the living room, walking around, but I thought it could have been my brother. I turned the knob and walked out of my room, forgetting it was 3:17. I slithered out of the hall into the kitchen to get a glass of water. As I walked back to my room, I saw some sort of creature standing in the kitchen. I was so horrified I dropped my glass and couldn't move.
Ugh.
It had blood dripping from its bones. It seemed deformed. I squinted, trying to see more of what it looked like, but it then tilted its head and grinned so wide that it isn't even physically possible for a human to do that.
Grimcuddy? Oh my god.
It got on all fours and crawled so fucking fast.
Plot twist, it is the cat.
I bolted into my room and locked the door. I grabbed everything I needed. I grabbed my cat
Oh.
and bolted into the bathroom in my room and locked the door. A few minutes passed and the door to my room broke. And now it was banging on the bathroom door. I shook in fear, wondering what would happen if it broke the door. But then the banging stopped. I heard a window break, then what sounded like the front door close. It left, and I'm guessing it goes from house to house on the neighborhoods and streets of Los Lunas, New Mexico.
Chupacabra.
I am now 16, and I never leave my room after 3 a.m. again until I see sunlight. If you are in Los Lunas, I prefer for you to take my advice and never do that. If you do, be prepared to run. So clearly there's some level of this has to do with some folklore going on.
Yeah,
Clearly.
for sure.
Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whew.
That
was spooky.
So you want me to read a second one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see. You know what? I'm gonna let you pick between these two. Which one you want to hear first?
Give me the titles.
Never install a doggy doorbell. And the man with a hat.
Obviously, I want you to read the hat last because it's giving Hill House. And I want to end off with a bang.
Technically, the third one that I have here is I never thought I would help catch a murderer.
That's also a sleigh.
Yeah. But you want to hear never install a doggy doorbell?
And I think I know why, but go ahead.
Okay.
Because it's giving conjuring. Which also kind of ties in to Man with the Hat.
True.
Continue.
We installed a doggy doorbell so that when my dog's friend comes over, the dog's owner can ring the doorbell and then we can let them play together.
Oh, they have doggy play dates.
Mm-hmm. One time when I was about 15 years old, my parents were at work and the doggy doorbell kept going off. I looked out the window and saw that nobody was there. Later that day, the doggy doorbell rang again. It was my dog's friend, so I put them outside and let them play. I talked to the owner, and the owner said that they didn't come by and the doorbell, they didn't come by and ring the doorbell. So I just thought there was some kids pranking us. Everything was fine until later that night at 2 a.m. The doorbell rang again. I looked outside and saw a big, tall man standing near the doorbell. I ran to go tell my mom. We then locked all the doors and locked all the windows and closed the blinds.
You're telling me you didn't have that done beforehand?
Nope. When we woke up, all the doors were unlocked and all the blinds were opened. We called the cops and they said that they couldn't do anything about it. We continued seeing this man outside the window, ringing the doorbell every night around 2 to 3 a.m. Our dog died a couple of years later, so we threw away the doorbell. The ringing stopped. A couple years later, I moved into my own house and got another dog and installed another doggy doorbell.
Why? Why would you do that? This thing only tormented you when you had the damn thing.
Everything was normal until one night I saw the man with the doorbell in his hand and my old dead dog's ashes. The next day, on the news, they said they found an old man that had escaped from a mental hospital down the road that had an urn.
Ew. Well, he never attacked them. He never really did anything that hurt anyone.
No, except for the fact that they locked all their windows and doors, and then the next morning all
They
of their
were
windows
all
and doors were
unlocked,
unlocked.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
But yeah.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read my other two after your all goods and goes.
All right. This one is called My Dead Mother Keeps Leaving Me Voicemails.
Okay.
It started last week. It started last week, eh?
Oh my God.
I bustled into my house with... No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. It started last week. I bustled into my house with palms flat on the bottom of two very full shopping bags, each meticulously placed against each shoulder. After putting them onto the kitchen counter, I saw it. A text message stating that my mother had left me a voicemail. I remember the surprise I felt. My mother had died when I was 14. I'm 28 now. She died of breast cancer. She died slowly. Even the doctors and nurses couldn't believe how she'd been able to hold on with such agony for so long. Obviously, I reasoned that her number had finally been assigned to someone else, and that person had accidentally called the wrong number. But when I checked, there were no calls from the number. Her number. Just the voicemail. I decided not to listen to it. I never listened to voicemails. Then, the next day, it happened again. In the morning, I finished sorting myself out for work, suit and tie, and again, a text. You missed a call from me at 7:43. Check voicemail. It was the same automated message, with no record of a call ever made when I checked my call history. So I decided to listen to the 2 voicemails left. "Hello, Charlie?" it started. The voice was static, but I could clearly tell it was my mother's voice. I almost jumped out of my skin when I first heard it, her unmistakable croaking voice that years of chemotherapy heralded. "Charlie, when are you going home?" It spooked me greatly. I listened to the other. "Charlie? Charlie, are you there? Are you going home?" The second voicemail churned out like metal scraping against rock. I chalked it up to voicemails that never managed to send, even though 14 years is a long time for them to finally come through. I thought it was ridiculous at the time, to conceive that my long-dead mother was actually contacting me from beyond the grave. That evening, I went out, saw my friend David, and got excruciatingly drunk. So drunk, in fact, that I told him what had been happening to me. I played him the voicemails. "You should call her," he hiccuped out, sniffling and rubbing his beet-red nose. So I did. Of course, the person on the other end didn't pick up. The phone beeped, and then went to voicemail. "Leave a voicemail," he ordered, hiccuping again. I don't remember what I said. Probably some profanities and a request to leave me alone. I mean, at the time, I still didn't think it was her, my mother. The day after, I received several texts notifying me of missed calls and voicemails left. Once again, no calls, just the voicemails. I remember how my head pounded against my skull, further ushering me into fits of annoyance at the sheer gall of the stranger to continue to harass me under my mother's name. So I listened. With each one, the same garbled, grating audio persisted, albeit even harder to distinguish than before. "Charlie, are you there? Are you going home? Charlie, don't you dare speak to me like that. I am your mother. Listen to me, Charlie. Charlie, please, don't go home, Charlie." The speech became more garbled. 236 Gospel Tree Road. I am mother. Charlie knows where you are. At that last one, my body froze over, cold beads of sweat trickling down my back. The hangover didn't help my anxiety, and I ran to my bathroom to grab my medication, lorazepam. I felt sick. What was I supposed to do? Do I call the police? I knew how the stalking laws work. Until there's an actual threat, the police don't do anything. At that point, all I knew was that whoever it was on the other line, masquerading as my mother, knew where I lived. So I did the only thing I knew to do. I called my dad. Well, my stepdad. But I called him Dad. My dad and I have a strange relationship. My mother was not a nice woman, who often berated my dad for being subpar in her quote-unquote extremely humble opinion. She was a controlling, conservative woman who, as she grew sicker, became less and less tolerant of my dad's more erratic and free-spirited nature. Because I didn't want to be anything but the ideal son, after my older stepbrother went off the rails, cut the family off, and joined some strange self-help group, I didn't defend my dad for my mother's verbal tirades. Triads. He still thought I would take her side to this day, even though she's long gone. "Dad," I asked after the line had picked up. He didn't respond. "It's me, Charlie. I need help." Finally, I heard a sigh and what sounded like a scratching against his scalp. "Hi, son. What is it?" Mother's been leaving me voicemails. Well, someone who's been using her number has been. They've been harassing me, and now they know where I live. Could I stay at yours for a bit, or maybe you could come around here? There was a pregnant pause. I hate that you still call her that. What? Mother. Like she's some fucking icon or something. I'm dad and she's mother. Another pause. But what? Someone knows where you live? Have you been talking to people online again? I was so confused. What? No, what are you talking about? A deep, wry chuckle emerged from the other end of the phone. Obviously, I'm talking about what you used to do when you were younger, Charlie. When you were on those emails with strangers online. I had no idea what he was talking about. I never did that. Yes, you did. That's why you weren't allowed on the computer. I became frustrated. Okay, whatever. I'm an adult man. Why would I be emailing strangers or whatever the fuck? Someone knows where I live, and I need help. Silence. I can't help you, Charlie. It's time you learn to do things for yourself. And he hung up on me, and I was alone in my house with the knowledge that someone knew where I lived. Friday came. I was nervous, apprehensive to come home after work, but after locking all my doors and windows and walking around my house with a bread knife.
Because that's really scary.
Right. Why the bread knife? The dullest one out of all.
No one said he was smart.
Just to double check that there was no one hiding in any possible nook or cranny, I finally felt at ease. So I cracked open a beer and sat on my sofa. Whilst watching whatever crap was on TV, I reminisced about my mother. She was a cruel woman, but she loved me, in her own strange way. I thought about how she'd never let me attend sleepovers or stay out late, how she'd made me learn the violin and piano up to grade 8 so that I'd get into a good university, how she'd only allowed herself to pick me up from school, how she'd made me spend a night revising in front of her on the kitchen table and test me afterwards. How she'd pat me on the back for getting good grades, how she'd continually check on me throughout the night, how most of this only happened once my stepbrother finally moved out, never to contact us again. I'm sorry, but most of the things you just listed are kind of like normal parent things.
No.
What do you mean?
No, the fuck not that is.
Well, like
No. There's some shisty weirdness going on here. You're like, this is normal parenting. No, the fuck that is not.
Well, let me read it again.
Yeah, read that again.
Okay. What about never let me attend sleepovers? Weird. Or stay out late. That kind of makes sense.
Well, it's 50-50 if you're a fucking teenager.
Yeah. I think they were talking about he was 14 when she died. So, like, yeah, maybe
that's fine.
Not
but like,
stay out late.
what does she consider night?
Right. Made me learn the violin and piano.
That's I'm not counting that. That's just whatever.
That's what I'm talking about. So that I get into a good university. Okay.
Well, then that's you just wanting your kid to be a music person.
Yeah. How she'd only allow herself to pick me up from school.
Weird when you have a dad.
Oh, yeah.
And also an older brother.
Yeah.
Weird.
How she made me spend many nights revising in front of her on the kitchen table. That doesn't really make sense.
I think that has to do with like homework, like constantly fixing. Like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but like homework, maybe?
I don't know.
But most parents don't do that.
Pat me on the back for getting good grades.
That's fine.
Terrible.
That's fine.
How she continually check on me throughout the night.
That's fucking weird. That's fucking weird. Why the fuck would you be checking on your child constantly throughout the fucking night?
Yeah, constantly is
Especially
weird.
With the sentiment of, after my brother left. After my brother left, she constantly checked on me.
Mm-hmm. The thing is...
It's fucking creepy.
My mom has insomnia. So she's told me that, you know, if she can't sleep, she'll like go and like check the logs and just like check on everybody. But she doesn't continuously do that every single night.
She's not like every hour on the hour coming in and checking on you.
No.
That's just because she's bored and doesn't
sleep. And
can't sleep.
Just
That's a very different situation.
And just wants to make sure everybody's safe.
Than checking on you constantly at night.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's fucking weird.
That's weird.
It's creepy.
Don't look at me like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought some more. How frail she looked as she was in her last few months. How she'd always just looked past my shoulder, just behind me at my dad, even as she spoke to me from her bed. How she'd berate my dad to me, tell me he wasn't a good person, and that I needed to be careful. I always thought she was a bit loopy at the end. Then, ping, a text, and a voicemail. I listened. The curiosity overcame me. Just as I was about to play it, a flurry of voicemails came through. I played the first one. Charlie, you need to be careful. Charlie. I was so drunk I had no idea what she meant. I played the next one. It's Mother, Charlie. Mother knows best. Charlie, it's getting harder to tell you, but you need to... He's here. There was a knock at my front door. I yelped out of fright. The shock of it, all shaking me to my core. I peered out of the peephole. My dad stood outside, looking at the ground. Before I could open the door, a ping from my phone stopped me in my tracks. Another voicemail. For some reason, everything in my gut told me to listen to it.
Yeah.
Charlie, do not open the door. So I didn't. But I spoke to my dad through the door. Dad? Open the door, Charlie, he said sternly. I gulped. Ping. Don't listen to him. What are you doing, son? Open the damn door, he yelled once more, pounding his fist against the door. Ping. I should have told you, Charlie. I've been getting her messages too, Charlie. Let's talk.
Shit.
He screeched, furiously pounding at the door. Please, son. Ping. He has a knife, Charlie.
Oh, shit.
I froze up. I'm getting chills. I froze up, looking through the peephole once more. I noticed he was concealing something behind his back. The sheer dread that filled my gut was something I'd never felt before. I did not like my mother, but whatever this thing was, using her name and voice, even if it was her, I knew I had to trust her. I'll call the police if you don't leave, I barely managed to utter out. He furiously kicked at the door. You've always believed her, that bitch, that worthless bitch. Fuck, I've been nothing but good to you, you useless bastard. Good-for-nothing prick. And I felt it. Pure, sheer panic engulfed my body. The snarl on my dad's face brought it all back. The strangers on the computer, the emails harassing me, begging me for images of myself. How my mother berated me, how she'd smashed my computer up, even in her frail state. How she called my dad to come and look, how his face crumpled from sweet and docile into a horrendous, lecherous anger. How she'd noticed and put the pieces together in the same way I had now. Ping. Call the police, Charlie. So I did just that. I called them. My dad never left my front door, and his screams to be let in soon turned to screams on the phone to, I assume, my mother's number, in which I heard voicemail after voicemail left by him to her. Screams of anguish that led to agonizing pleas for forgiveness, like a sinner at a confessional. The police arrived rather quickly, and after tackling my dad to the ground and forcing him into cuffs, exchanged solemn glances with one another, and came to me to revere pitied apologies. It appeared they'd recognized me, even in my now adult state, and being an individual who had appeared on many dark web forums for unsavory purposes. Sorry, I'm not sure if I want to divulge into details, but you get the gist. Dad, though I ought to call him Stephen now, is currently in custody as I write this. I'll probably most likely have to be a witness in court. I've sent a Facebook message to my stepbrother, detailing everything, but I suppose he must already know, hence his lack of contact over the years. I only received one more voicemail from my mother, which came through this morning. Unlike the previous voicemails, this one was clear, untainted, almost like my mother was right here, whispering in my ear. Goodbye, Charlie. I love you.
Damn. So obviously some really gross shit was going on,
Yeah.
which is why he blacked out a lot of his childhood.
Yeah.
Which explains why the brother left,
Yeah.
because it probably happened to him and he got tired of it and left. Which is why the mom was checking on him, because the brother wasn't there anymore, so the dad switched targets.
Yeah.
So that explains a lot.
Whew.
It explains some of her behavior now. It gives some understanding of why she was the way she was towards him.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the other behaviors were not,
Yeah, still.
But
it's understandable, because if she doesn't want anyone else other than her to pick up her son, she's afraid that he's going to do something.
Yeah, constantly
checking on him at night. That's if I catch him in there with him. Yeah. There's some... I knew there was some shiesty shit going on.
Yep.
Because that's weird behavior to have towards your child.
Yeah.
So, clearly something was up. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Probably loves his mom now.
Yeah. Realizes that,
some of the things she did was for his own good.
For his safety. And the fact that the police were like, oh no, we know who this is.
Yep.
We know exactly who this is. Wild.
Whew. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, hit me with your last two.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start with this one. I never thought I would help catch a murderer. The story I'm about to tell you is 100% true. This happened sometime in November of 2010. I was fishing with my friend Rico in a lake near the country club of Miami. To no surprise, we never caught anything. We were ready to give up until Rico noticed a blue case by the shore that was covered up poorly by some leaves. As we got closer, the smell was horrible. Rico was actually about to throw up. I had a higher tolerance for foul odors.
Oh no, girl. My nose is so sensitive.
So I went up to the case and opened it. I never thought I would ever see this in my life. In the case was a human body part.
Not even the whole human, just a part.
Not only was there blood, but the plastic was poorly wrapped. We called the police, to which surprisingly they arrived very quickly, and the area was soon a crime scene investigation. A couple of days passed by, and of course, since I'm curious about the situation, look for news articles online, and it turned out the body part we found was a male torso.
Gross.
And it was one of the two other body parts. It was one of two other body parts. The other two were hidden in different parts of Broward County. To make matters worse.
No, because we know what that is
Yes.
and where that is.
Yes. To make matters worse, the body parts were from the same person.
Well, yeah.
And the guy who killed him didn't have a motive.
Okay, I
He
think
just killed him.
what would have made it worse is if it was different people. You said what makes it worse is they were from the same person. No. What makes it worse is if it were from
Different
multiple people.
Because where's the rest of them?
Right.
Turns out the police were struggling to find clues to catching the murderer, because at the time there were only separate incidents similar to this one, and after we called about the torso, they had more information and were able to locate and arrest the murderer. Till this day, he remains in jail, but it's still a pretty scary situation considering I have never seen a dead person, let alone a body part.
I haven't either.
And to make matters even worse, we found this behind a middle school. If anyone is interested in actually researching about it, just look up dead body behind Country Club Middle School.
Fuck.
So legit, okay, this is really fucked up. Okay, so as a photographer, we have to look up, and we'll look up artists for all sorts of shit, and like throughout the whole course of your time, which means you look at a lot of photos.
Yeah.
And let's just say sometimes, depending on the photographer you look up, I may have I've seen a photo, a crime scene photo of police standing around a torso.
Yeah.
Because this photographer was a crime scene photographer who transitioned into a different kind of photographer.
I would too. I would too.
But
I don't think crime scene is where anybody wants to stay for their left of the right.
It was not, unless you have morbid curiosity. Then you live in a totally different world. Yeah. Anyway.
Like, if you are into that, then yeah, absolutely, that's where you'd love to end up. But I don't think most people, their life goal is to be like, yeah, crime scenes.
People end up in forensics anyway.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a good start.
People end up in coroner's office.
Because I don't see that as a job that many people would like to do.
You know the joke in every fucking movie about the coroners who are just like eating an apple.
Oh, yeah.
Or their like meal next to the dead body. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely people for this niche of existence. Oh, yeah.
I know.
Not most, but there's definitely that. Mm-hmm. Did you know that Dodger originally went to school so she could be to do coroner, like to do like stuff like that, like funeral-y, like body stuff?
That doesn't shock or surprise me.
Nope.
For Dodger.
Nope. Doesn't shock me at all. Nope.
I get it.
I see it.
I see it. And I could see her still having her cute and bubbly personality.
Oh, yes.
In the rooms with the bodies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Hit me with...
Alrighty.
The next one.
The last one is... The Man with a Hat. I had always been not so sure about the existence of spirits.
Girl, same.
But this is what confirmed it.
I'm waiting for my experience.
I was around 8 or 9, a small girl. I started to see spirits or shadows of them. But this specific one had always been more relevant than the others. It was late at night, and I was watching TV, laying on my couch. My couch was against the wall, which was right next to a hallway. Just for a moment, I took my eyes off of the TV and looked to my left, as I felt like I was being watched. I look over to see a tall man with a hat peering next to me.
Hill House!
I jolted my head back to see nothing. I screamed for my mom and told her what I saw. She later called her, now ex-boyfriend, over to come check our house to make sure we were alone. A few years later, we had moved to a new house in a new town. I had forgotten all about the incident. About a year after living there, I was sitting on my couch, alone. My mom, sister, and stepdad were all in my parents' room at the end of the hall. The way our living room was set up at the time, I had a clear view down the hallway. I was watching TikTok on my phone with the only light that was on being the hallway light. I look up from my phone and down the hallway to see a tall man with a hat. As I look, he rose up from the ground, and I swear he looked at me. He then went back into the ground. I paused, wondering if I was just imagining things. I ran down the hallway and slammed my parents' door open and told them about the incident, but nobody took me seriously. I haven't seen him since then, and am hoping that I never do.
Was he that creepy?
I would assume so. So this gives me super strong vibes. of the Hat Man.
Do tell.
So you've heard a little bit about this in, I think, our personal scary stories episode that we did.
Okay.
Both on your side and my side of a creepy shadow figure with a hat.
Okay.
So you were talking about the fact that when you were a little kid, you had like sleep paralysis.
Yeah, the one time.
And I had asked you if the shadow that was in the corner had a hat on.
I don't know.
Because in sleep paralysis...
Oh, yes, I do remember this.
And a shockingly common one to see is the Hat Man. It's specifically a man with like a top hat on. So, you know, we had a whole little conversation about that. And the fact that like, you know, I was spending the night at a friend's house with like a bunch of people because it was a birthday party and I was the only one willing to turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Because the whole room could see a man with a hat standing by the light switch. So there's some strong vibes of the Hat Man in this whole thing. Because even in one of your stories, weirdly enough, there's a moment where you mentioned the person feeling like a paralysis. And it was in the one with the shadow being.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of like sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
So it made me think of that too. So it's definitely got those vibes going on.
Yeah. Let's just say I am officially freaked out.
You ready to go downstairs?
We have 8 minutes. That's what I gotta say to that. Because it's 8 minutes till 3 a.m. And you know what they say about leaving your room.
Be ready to run.
Girl, I can't run up the stairs.
Good fucking luck.
You would just leave my ass? I have better hopes for you. I thought I could count on you. Wow. I see. Oh, I understand now.
That is so funny. But yeah, we'll definitely have more of these Reddit scary stories. To make our lives a little easier, we're probably going to have... It's probably going to be Reddit scary stories for like a while. Just because it's easier to do these in between the chicanery level of research we have to do for our standard episodes.
Yeah.
They're also just fun, and obviously until we start getting your own personal scary stories in, it's cool to kind of just talk about weird scary stories. And obviously it won't permanently be scary stories from Reddit, but you know, I have some ideas of some what was it in school? It was you read a book and then you talked about it. The fuck was that called? What was that assignment called in school?
Oh, like in the circles?
Like
in the circles?
Regardless, it was like you did a like book report, motherfuckers. That's what it's called, like a book report. Like just talking about the fact that like talking about a book, like you know, something simple. So I was thinking like we could do Frankenstein.
Oh yeah,
would be a nice one. Like
also
do
talking about like
stories.
The most haunted places ever.
Oh yeah.
Or
yeah,
things like that.
So we'll have a bunch of different things, but this one's a nice, easy one to kind of like do. And
yeah,
everybody likes Reddit.
Yeah, especially because, you know, these episodes this year are significantly longer. So it's a lot more work to have to figure out what to do for every chit-chat.
Yeah.
Also, on top of that, while we're trying to figure out
our own, like, expansion.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Oh, it is a lot. Like moving to film and vlogs and
so it's going to be
such
a lot of fiddling, but for now we're chill.
For now, your girl is tired. Your girl is worn out a little bit this semester. I didn't think it could get worse. And then it did.
Well, yeah. I mean, at this point, I officially will have a month left of school before I graduate.
Congrats.
So, yeah.
So hard. You've been working
not my
so
fault that
long
you want to
for
fucking keep going.
What?
That's not my problem. That you're going to be going even farther.
I'm taking a good over half a year off. So
Yeah. I know that after your bachelor's, you're going to chill out for a second and then you're going to go back.
I need it. Maybe even like, honestly,
take time. You can always go back for the business thing
even
later.
if I'm not even ready that year.
Yeah.
And I just want to work
Yeah.
and live
Yeah.
a life.
We got plans and shit, so.
Maybe I'll travel a little bit. Like places that are close around Florida. Just getting out there a little more. I don't mean to like across the country or anything like that. I just mean like mini road trips to Georgia even. I don't care.
Whereas me, I'm over here like eventually when we start vlogging, I want to go to some fun places.
Yeah, it's just affording that.
Well, yeah, but that's driving road trips.
Yeah.
I think a driving road trip would be more fun and we could do that.
Mm-hmm. Even if I take a year or two off after, I mean...
You have time.
Yeah.
So
because
you're fine.
At this point, I'm graduating end of next year. And even that feels like eons away.
It comes faster than you think.
But it don't. But it does. I know it does.
You're also like still in your like moderately early stages.
I'm a young baby. I just turned
so
21.
You are fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. I know I'm fine. It just is also like...
You will still be in your 20s by the time you finish college.
But it feels like I was just in high school.
Because you were.
Like, literally last week.
You were just in high school, not but a couple years ago.
It was 3 years ago now.
Yeah, that's not very long. Do you know how long it's been since I've been in high school?
I know, based on you, like, and your experience, yes. For me, this, you know, we're different ages, different points in life. So it's still... I'm sure when you were 3 years out of college, you were like, fuck, it's been 3 years. So...
What do you mean?
After high school, you weren't like 3 years later, like, oh, wow, it's already been that long?
After high school, I took like the spring and summer off and started back in almost immediately. Fall 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay attention to time at all at that point.
I didn't even do that. I went straight into college.
Yeah. I needed it. I needed the break. I needed the separation.
Oh, believe me too.
That's why I don't
should
do
have taken
school
one
over summer. I don't do that shit. I don't do
well.
school over summer.
I have to.
Because if I do it, my psychological state drops.
I have to.
So.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's about it for us here.
Yeah, sorry for that mini spiel at the end there. I love my life.
She diatribed hard.
I did. Go to
3
school. It's
a.m.
good for your brain.
exhaustion's real.
It is. Yeah, because it's 3 a.m. and I'm tired, but I'm also tired of other
Life?
things. Not life.
Life in like simple terms, not in grand scheme.
Yeah. Life is great. I'm excited for the future. It's just...
I need a nap.
yeah. That is an understatement.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a good hibernation.
For real.
For a good winter. Let me be a bear.
I will be grateful. Like, I understand that there's a level of like where everybody's like, man, I wish I was in school again and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, at this point, but that's because we're currently in it. But for me, it's, I have a tolerate-hate relationship with school.
Yeah.
Because I don't like school. I just don't.
I don't either.
And haven't. So I tolerate it or I hate it. I go between those two often. The only reason why it's tolerable right now is because I'm doing content that I enjoy. And I only have to create work for one class and not two, which is nice. So I only have to use my brain power on one thing, which is nice. and it will be coming to an end. So it'll be nice to kind of no longer be in student school mindset. Like all that out the window.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to
Because
kind
you've been
of
working
like
on it for a while.
since 2016.
Yeah.
Fall 2016.
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. This will be my 3rd degree. Yeah.
Way overqualified for anything.
I'm way overqualified. But yeah. Anyway, getting off of that topic and on to the ending of all this nonsense.
Hope you're thoroughly spooked.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like we said, we'll have others of this as well.
It's 3:01, so.
So our next episode is going to be The Shining. Anyway, alrighty. Send us an email. Remember, your scary stories you can send us at horrorunmasked@gmail.com. Follow us at Twitter and Instagram at horrorunmasked. Listen to us on Spotify and iTunes at Horror Unmasked Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Horror Unmasked Podcast. And I think with that,
There's only one thing left to ask. Will you fear?
or will you fear not?
You can't escape. Not anymore. The red string has bound us together, for better or for worse.